Hi guys, this is Sherwin with Gospel Music Buzz. How are you?
Hey, my
Great.
brother, how you
How are
doing?
you?
Awesome, awesome. So again, thank you guys for carving out some time to speak with us here today.
My pleasure.
I guess I'll kind of start this one off with James. James, looking at a movie like this, right? I mean, we can kind of take this some different angles. There's a lot of risks that had to have been taken. You wore many hats throughout that process. What were some challenges, if any, that encountered kind of switching between composer, writer, director, just going in between that gambit?
Well, for me, I mean that's a great question. The answer is kind of unique in that there's no risks. You don't actually switch hats when you compose and when you write something because they are actually the same thing. If you look at a script is roughly 3 acts. A song is 3 acts. It's like two verses and the middle eight. So everything is pretty much the same. The challenge is not to switch hats at all. The challenge is to keep
Okay.
the same hat all the time. When you're working with LaKeith and he's playing Clarence, when you're working with LaKeith and he's playing Thomas, you look at each character as a musician. Every single person is a composer. They're composing as they're talking to you, and you have to not switch hats at all. LaKeith as Thomas is stoic and he keeps his hands together. He's holding a book. He's always holding something. That gives you one melody. LaKeith as Clarence is free. Thomas, it seems, was free and is composed. LaKeith as Clarence is free, and Clarence gives you a whole other melody. So Clarence is and the melody draws itself around Clarence's body language. When you look at Thomas, he's stoic, so the melody is more. They're the same. Like one, you stay in this frame and you're staying true to song, but you have to be aware of it all the time. So you're constantly composing along with what you're seeing and what is being presented to you, because the whole
Wow.
thing is an orchestra. You know what I mean? The challenge
No,
is to. I know it's a long answer, but the challenge
no, no. No.
is to not change hats at all. Keep the same hat. You're composing as you're directing. You're directing as you're composing. You're writing songs as you because it's all the same thing. It's just all storytelling.
Wow.
I just haven't been that much of a G, but I understand.
Thank you so much for giving such an in-depth answer. Thank
Pleasure
you.
to link, my brother.
No, look, this one is for you because again, like James mentioned, you kind of walk between both of them, right? You're playing the protagonist and knowing that once you're going down that particular path, you're going to catch a lot of smoke because, everyone is going to come with the smoke when they're seeing that side, but also kind of going back, in between both of those roles. What would you say, you know, from a preparation standpoint, like what was your preparation path like just going into that and knowing that that was what was in front of you?
Well, the beautifully crafted story really lended to the journey in a way that was legible and easy to ascertain. I think the beauty of naivete is that it provides a space where there can be something to be learned. And I think going into Clarence having that really gave me a place to go. One of the most naive things you can do is think that you understand and have all the answers. So I think going into it with that in mind led me to position him to be humbled and to learn. And I think playing the juxtaposition with Thomas, you always have the foil characters who remind you either who you are or who you aren't. And it was important to draw that distinction between the two in their countenance, the way they carried each other. Twin brothers are quite interesting because they can come
Hmm?
from the same place, they can come from the same parents, and be polar opposites and completely different. What are the things that change them? One of the things is the environment, but one of the things is also just built into their DNA, how they respond to the environment, and also what we project. And so if I want to project a certain thing and I want to be seen a certain way, I move a certain way. So I wanted to make sure the characters sort of carried that with them. And of course, the musical element was ever present, as it is on any Jeymes Samuel set. you always feel the rhythm in the words, the way he speaks, you can hear it, the musicality, the way that he writes. And so it was kind of always with us. And so you kind of carry that rhythm within the performance. And I love what he says about there not being a real separation between the two, because I felt similarly about Clarence and Thomas. And there just seemed to be some sort of unification that was like beyond everything else. It sort of brought it all together, the world that we existed on. As soon as you put those robes on, you kind of realize like, oh, we're in a whole different world. I had to learn how to walk upstairs in a robe. I didn't realize that you must gather one's drapery before moving up the steps.
Gather one's drapery.
Otherwise, you become entangled. And that seemed to be a beautiful metaphor for what the journey would be.
Yeah.
Well, thank you guys so much. I know we're out of time, but thank you. I love the movie. Can't wait for others to be able to experience it. Thank you so much again.
Thank you, King.
Thanks.